The Left Wing Backs coverage of the Carlow Hurling Championships for 2023 is brought to you in association with Talbot Fitness, Brendan Cabinet Furniture, Corcoran Precast Tanks, Milano's Takeaway at Bidnestown, Connolly's Topline Hardware, PFT Travel, Ray Whelan Limited, Earth Spas and the Arboretum Loughlin Bridge. Hello folks, welcome along once more to another edition of the Left Wing Back podcast covering all things club hurling and football in Carlow. We're up and running. This is our third programme already, and as always I'm joined by Joe Nolan. Joe, you're very welcome.
Yeah, thanks Kev, delayed to be along.
And Stevie Bambrick has gone to Turkey and got a hair transplant. What's the story, Stevie? Podge Ryan, how's things, lad? What's the story?
What's going on, Kev? You well? Thanks for having me.
We're not going to bad. Stevie will be on with us here now in a few minutes to defend himself. Don't think I just got a dirty one in without his company. But Podge, we wanted to have a chat with you a few weeks ago. It's fantastic. Kildavin Clonegal back with a hurling team, and tell us all about it, how it happened and how it's going so far, please.
You broke up a bit there, Kev. Just
fake, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear the question?
Hurling is going better than the broadband anyway.
Yeah.
Is it junior broadband as well down there? No. Well, anyway, I was asking how it was going and what did you kind of tell us all about how it happened and how it's going so far?
Yeah. Look, I kind of came around there kind of last November. Myself and Colin Nolan and Ricky Byrne, Andrew Nolan, Lean St. Ledger, we kind of just were talking about hurling back in the parish. You know, there was a bit of a hunger there for it again, like, you know, and sure, we start getting names of lads together and texting lads one thing and another. We got WhatsApp group together, and you know yourself now, when you ask lads to do York, oh yeah, Jesus, yeah, we'll be there and all bother. And sure, look, we had about probably 35 or 40 in the WhatsApp group, like, but we have a panel now of about 25 or 6, which is fairly good, like. Kind of got back training then, I think it was March, just one night a week, and then the last, I'd say, probably 7 or 8 weeks, we've been going 2 nights a week, like, you know, just in the lead up championship and all, like. So like, an uncle of mine, John Ryan, is training us there, and we have a management team then of my father, Pat Ryan, Andy Nolan and Andrew Nolan. Andrew was kick football there with Kildavin Pascal, like. So yeah, it's going good. Like, played the Bulger Shield. You know, we played the 3 games. We played Burn Rangers in the first game, got Beppy 10 points. Played Carlowtown then down the park, got Beppy 10 or 11 points, and then played Rangers up in Burris, like. But look, it was, you're talking about lads that hadn't hurled in 10, 15 years, like, you know. Like, it was the first time since 2008 we had a team in the club, like, at adult level, like. So went on to the championship then and played Carlowtown inside in Carlow, like, and like got to win, and it was massive, like, you know. And like, there's even lads going around after the game and you're like winning all Ireland, like, you know. Went up to our Mullins Rangers came around us in the second round, and best be 14 or 15 points now, and you know, you're kind of looking at it then thinking, geez, like, we're like, if we're looking to win a championship here or compete or get to a semi-final or whatever, you know, you're going to be playing teams like Mullins Rangers or Burn Rangers who are like way ahead of you at that level, like. But then we went down to St. Mullins there last Monday night, and you know, we got a few lads back in York, and yeah, we came out with a win anyway, a good win, like, and hopefully now we can push on again, you know.
That's with the help of lads. Let you in here.
You're going to let me in?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cheers, no, sure. In terms of with hurling in Kildavin,
don't cut the back office now, Joe.
Yeah,
I know that.
I wasn't setting Joe up for that in here, by the way. Just in case
I actually sent. I think
he what do you call it? He knows the bigger picture of Savall. I won't speak on his behalf here. Like, geez, that's not the intention whatsoever, right? I wasn't lining up for that. Don't get me wrong.
I think no, not at all. No, I think Pádraig knows my intention. I sent him a text early in the year, and Neil and the boys. I said I am.
And like Joe, we tried to get that transfer started for you, but I don't know what
yeah, but you're the one who objected to it, right? No, but no. Look, my feelings are fairly clear on that, lad. I'm delighted. The more hurling you have, like we were sorry to lose the Kildavin lads. We had great times with the boys. They made a massive impact on our club. You know, winning minor, winning junior, getting us to where senior finals as well. So the impact of the lads we're losing isn't lost on us, and we were delighted to have the lads up with us and have them hurling, and and I was just it's great. The bigger picture, you always have to play the bigger picture at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Bigger picture is Kildavin have, I think you have up to under 15 down there at the minute, Corey. Have you under 13?
Yeah, I think under 13 anyway, and I think now next year they're looking at bringing on that team for under 15,
long term is what we want. We all want more hurling in the county. You know what I mean? And look, and I think the big thing is that you're backing it up with underage coming through as well. It's not just a group of lads kind of coming together, and you have underage, you have your own identity down there from a hurling point of view, and that's massive. And look, it's great. More hurling teams, the better. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're sad to lose you, but we'll have great crack in the pitch because the connections are always there. Like, no matter what, the connections are always there. And like Pádraig was joint captain the last time we lifted a trophy in Ballinkillen was the junior championship a couple of years ago, and so the impact of the lads is not lost on us in either way in terms of what they give to the club and what we're losing. But the bigger picture is more hurling in the county, and that's what we all want.
Yeah, and like that, Joe, like we were there, like we were hurling at Ballinkillen there from, I think he was there 14 or 15 years, and like you said, like you accommodated us brilliantly, and if we weren't hurling with you, we won under 21 final, we won a minor A, couple of juniors, like the same, 4 or 5 lads there on the senior panel, they got to the county final a couple of years ago, it's brilliant, only for that, sure, like that, a lot of lads didn't hurl, which was the pity, but sure, at least we're back now, and lads are hurling. Some lads hadn't hurled there for 20 years, with one thing and another. But it's great. And when you win a game or win a couple of games, Jez, the interest is there. Then and lads are Jez, want to be a part of this, and the buzz around the place. You see on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and on the club are doing great things that way, to push it, and. At this stage, we just kind of have to back it up on the field.
Well, it gives your juvenile players something to work to as well, because if that's the big thing where you get them to 13 or 14 or 15 years of age, and you're kind of it's the time you can lose them. And one of the things that they can often look to is that where do we go to? We have hurling in the club back to 13 or 14 or 15. I know you have to build it up, but if they see a pathway now, a player pathway that we can hurl all the way through with Kildavin, Clonegal, the one club. So that's a great thing, you know what I mean? And then suddenly it becomes your identity, that connections, things move on, you know what I mean? And that's the important thing. Some of you lads, like I said, have connections to ourselves or to other clubs, but all these lads rolling through from now on, they'll only know Kildavin Clonegal, all the way through, and that's it. That's progress,
Sure, and like you said, the more clubs in the county, the better, junior, I know a lot of people be saying, sure, only hurling junior. Lads, you have to hurl, no matter what grade it is, and junior, the lads coming out minor hurling junior and then going on to the media and senior, that's where everyone starts, and that's where everyone finishes too, at some stage, we were playing with the Rangers in the Bulger Shield, and you're marking David Phelan there and Eddie Cody coming out from the backs with the ball, you're what he meant to do there. It's not.
Hey, Podge, I just wanted on record there. I finished last year at intermediate. Not because we went down or anything, but I finished intermediate. That is what that no.
Finished on a high.
No, sorry. I want to rephrase that. I actually finished the intermediate team, should I say?
Very good. Very good.
I know it's all good, lad. It's very positive. And fair play to you. Fair play to you. I have to say to you, lad. Fair play to you as well. Not, as I say, blowing steam up your end, but even when you're with Ballinkillen and all, you're a great man to organise in terms of players and get things rallying around. And it came as no surprise when I heard when this was being mooted that you were in the background, taking it along and getting involved. And that's a great sign, lad, because you need people in clubs like that. And the bigger picture is in a couple of years' time, or whenever you're done playing, you obviously have that drive and that interest in your area to get involved in your club and to see stuff. And as I say, when you're, that's like, a very important thing to have in a club.
Yeah, like that's it, Joe. It's not just about this year. Like it's about the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like, and like lads coming from minor and under 15 and all, like bringing this along now. Like the same, like started up the Camogie club there last year. The first time in I think 8 or 9 years maybe there was a Camogie team in the club. Like, and look, we got to a county semi-final, and again, it wasn't about last year. It's about this year and next year. Like, you need teams like that in the club. The same, like the women's football is going brilliant down there as well. And it's going good, like,
all positive. Yeah. Perfect,
yeah. I think there's a couple of things I'd like to say on it, right? Firstly, the fact that you've gone and made this happen is one thing. The fact that you're winning matches already is another thing. And another thing I would like to ask you is, do you feel that the split season has been a big benefit in making it happen? Because I'd imagine there was probably a bit of resistance, perhaps, I'm only suggesting that now, and might have been a bit more resistance if it was kind of week on week. Like, I don't think you'd be training 2 nights a week if there was football, was say every second week, like, for example. No. I'm only assuming that now.
Look, personally, I'd rather have it 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. That's just me now. Okay. I just think, look, we're in the championship at the minute there now, but like, just say someone got injured, done a hamstring, like they're gone for 4 matches. Like, that could be the win and losing of, getting to a semi-final or a county final. Whereas if you had your 2 weeks football, like, fair enough. Look, if they get injured in hurling or football, they're going to be gone either way. But like, at least it's not as big a loss. Like, you're only going to be missing maybe 2 games if it was a 2 week on, 2 week on, or 2 week on, 2 week off. Championship, like,
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like looking or going forward, maybe it should be something that the county board look at. Like, who's the benefiting really? Like, like look at last year, St. Mullins in the senior, like the best ferns up in Carlow, like, but like there's 2 teams now that didn't play for 13 and 14 weeks after winning their county final, like, whereas maybe it should have been like 2-3 weeks of a break, like that's that's the other side of it. Like.
Fair argument. Yep. Yeah. Fair argument. I think look, it's like everyone, there's going to be pros and cons, but I just think all the positivity is great around the place, and the numbers like that you mentioned as well. It's not like you just have to come with a team and you're scraping. But the one thing I did always wonder, Podge, like, what do you think happened? Not that it matters now, but how did you actually go 15 years? Do you think, considering how close you are to like Ferns won't be a million miles away, say, for example.
No.
A club that you just mentioned there, like.
Yeah. I don't really know, Kev, like, we were only 14, 15 ourselves, like, so.
Yeah. Like,
the boys got to the intermediate final in 2007. And Munster Rangers bet them, like, but like the core that Munster Rangers team was, Dennis Murphy and Feathers and these lads, like.
Yeah.
Like, to go from getting to an intermediate final and losing to a team like that to then just no team, like, it does happen in clubs as well, like, fair enough.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then I suppose, we went to Ballinkillen and, we were going well there, and we're happy enough here, like, like, Joy, like, yourself, when we went up there, like, Jez, you couldn't do any more for us, like, and like, it wasn't like there was favoritism anyway at all. Like, you earned your place up there, and that was it. Like, it wasn't just like, oh well, these lads from down Kildavin are coming up here, we have to throw them on the team. Like, you earned your place, and that was it. Like, and you were hurling a good level. Like, you were hurling with good players beside you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Podge, I'm going to bring in the fella that we had a little pop at here earlier. Stevie, how's things? I might have to adjust this shot now. Hold on one sec. If you're ready to put a little tilt on that there, Podge. All we can see is your Martin Story mustache there.
Martin Story or Pat Ryan? One of them.
How are you, Steve?
All right, now we're getting there. PJ O'Connell. We're still in one piece here on you, thank God. So
yeah, the hair is standing on end, Stevie.
Yeah, well, that was
earlier on in the game there, knocked the ball incident this morning there around 8:30, caused a lot of that. Yeah,
See, you have to understand the question. Sorry, I just have to cut straight to the mustard here now. We need to find out what age this man's old boy was playing that minor final or whatever it was. It's after getting about 10 mentions in this podcast. What is the story?
It was his uncle. I'll try and narrow it down as brief as I can. I think it was 1988. We were playing the semi-final against Kildavin, and I was in Carrolltown anyway. I think it was a weeknight, but anyway, the Tom Dobbs playing the usual lads you'd know that were 21, 20, 19, and that sort of vintage. But the ball came into me in the goal anyway, and sure, rule number 1 is anyway get the ball in your hand, and rule number 2 is get out there quick with it. And a lad came in. No, he got there as soon as he could with the tackle, but was never life threatening. Ran, but I got a fairly good look at him, and I said to my mother when I come home, I said, "Where's Micheál Ryan? Would he be under 21?" And she says, "Yes, it's tight to be under 31." So Micheál is married to my cousin Josie from Clara. So anytime we were at any sort of a do after my father went to town, and I was the under 21 hurling going, Micheál. So there'll be always a good laugh I had anyway. So that was 1988. So if you know what age Micheál is now, we can do the maths.
Yeah, very good, very good. Podge,
I was lucky there was no one checking birth certs that evening, Steve.
No, and the full face helmet, the micro helmet was right for coming in, so there was a good bird cage keeping the beard in, and he had a fair beard on him.
Brilliant.
I had a good chat with John yesterday. John, we're up at the Puck Fod above in Mount Leinster, and John was with India Merla, and she came second, I think, second or third. She came third in under 16.
She came third, and she was a metre and a half away from coming second. Like in the province, that's.
She was very steady. She was I was with the Dublin girl, and the two of us, we were the first to out. So John was with India, and she was quite steady. She was for girls 15, 16 years of age. No, the conditions were good for Mount Leinster, but just brilliant day up there. So
yeah,
we good chat with John there before, during, and after the whole yoke. So hurling mad. Hurling mad. You're talking about hurling mad now. He is just the most hurling mad mad lad I know, and that's saying something.
Yeah, and he I think he's after. He'd either 1 or 2 county finals left to see every county final. Like, there was one day there he went to the Tyrone county final. I was on a 1/2, and then I think the Cavan final was on a 1/2, and he made it open. Like,
yeah, that's Leo McGough territory. Leo has a 31 done.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Oh.
Did you see the article actually, lads? It was very good, wasn't it? I don't know, was it Philip? Was it Ian? Ian O'Riordan wrote it on Leo. It's
Philip Flanagan.
I mean, sure, we all know what Leo is and what he's capable of, and he actually coached us underage. Fucking lights are flickering here. He coached us underage.
Sure, don't go there.
Yeah. Or they're starting a trend, but no, he coached us underage, and I think it'd be a crying shame if that archive was to go to waste. I think it's just amazing stuff altogether. The lights flickered here, and then Podge's screen went still. So hopefully we can get him back in a moment. I don't know if he can still hear us or what the crack is. I think he's back with us now.
Back again, that junior broadband lad is. That
junior broadband. Yeah. Hopefully we get you up intermediate for the next podcast from here. But you've actually covered a few footnotes there, lads, in fairness to you. And the other thing was other bits of camogie news and ladies football news we should give mention to. I think ladies footballers beat London today and are into an All-Ireland semi-final, and the Carlow camogie team won a relegation semi-final, I think, there yesterday as well. But I'd like to chat to you lads about the 2 All-Ireland hurling semi-finals, which we get a word on. Obviously fresh in the memory is Clare and Kilkenny there today, and Kilkenny obviously emerging victorious, not without its dramas. And Stevie, you'd be proud of Owen Murphy's save, I'd say. You'd probably retire off it.
He's the best goalie I've ever seen, and I don't. The discussion is closed on my behalf there. But like I said it to you earlier in the group, that it just shows how good Shane O'Donnell's goal was actually, that the save Murphy brought off, because for a right-handed goalie that side to get to make the save on the right-hand side is the hardest thing you can do. And like Shane O'Donnell fired, there was a Tommy Welch or someone out of the way, and it looked like he passed the ball, but got some power behind it. But like Duggan's ball goes in, I think, does that make it level? I'm not sure, because I missed the first 20 minutes of the game, so I was kind of in and out of the game.
I think that would have made it level, Steve.
Yeah, and like I was talking to a lad here not 5 minutes ago, he had a drawback. He wasn't too impressed with Owen Murphy. He's gone off the Christmas card list. Like he's like, that was ridiculous. Now he just, and like he only got the push onto the crossbar, but just shows you what you're dealing with in All Ireland finals, semi-finals. Clare just looked the goal. Looked, too much into that. You're coming out with the ball in front of the goal, goes wrong. Owen Cody, TJ Reid, punishment is coming, and there's only one outcome. You're picking it out of the net. That put him back 2 points ahead before that. As I said, I didn't see the whole game. I've seen bits and pieces of it. Shot selection by Clare at a lot of stages there were just, they were the cauldron of Croke Park in the semi-final, and I think the atmosphere wasn't great. But to be fair in saying that, there the crowd was quite enough for a lot of it. That I heard of it anyway. But
them round robins have everyone stung, lad. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Get the two going together to go to an All Ireland semi-final. It's not there, sure. I think the whole thing is diluted a little bit. Like, now, others will argue with the Munster that places are packed out the whole time, but it has to take its toll at some stage. Like, so.
Yeah, like it's a trip up to Croke Park, like from Clare. Like it's one thing from Kilkenny, like an hour and a half with most will be there and that, but like it's right. Okay, it's knockout. You'll go and that'll be it. But like it's the thing. It's the same as last year. They've got no further than last year. And decisions wise, look, I the bits I seen and the comments I seen, the WhatsApp group and one another WhatsApp groups looked like Clare weren't getting the decisions. So I didn't see enough of it to put nail me colours to the mast there. But it's that Clare team. Tony Kelly still only won All Ireland. The years are ticking along. Shane O'Donnell as well. They're 10 years to the Wonder All Ireland, Kilkenny another All Ireland final, and they'll give Limerick enough of it. And I tell you, if Owen Cody is not marshalled fairly well, Limerick will have a job beating them.
Yeah, I think, lads, the mad thing was, I was actually chatting to the boys about earlier, I think more Clare lads started that had All Ireland medals in Kilkenny, but there was more Kilkenny lads finished All Ireland medals, and you see who they brought on, and that was a big difference in the end. And I suppose a lot of people, it's obvious enough to say, everyone knows at this stage that the sweeper didn't work in the first half. There was 5 points in it, and then when Clare came out and started going at them, it was a different story altogether. Like, it's probably okay to just skip straight to the final. I don't want to talk too much about yesterday because Galway just stopped doing what they were doing well, and as soon as Limerick got the second goal, it felt like it was going to be about a 10-point win anyway, which it proved to be. So what do you think Podge Ryan Kilkenny would have to maybe do to, I suppose, cause a big upset here? Like, for me, just say personally, to make a start on this, you'd be looking at the half back line regardless of who's in it for Limerick, and they have to try to get a foothold there. Is there any other obvious things that you think?
Just where do you start? Try to keep them locked in the dressing room, I suppose.
It's something you try, alright.
Like,
it's not great from the boots of the car that you used to be locking referees into down there years ago. That never happened, by the way. Yeah.
The way it is with Limerick lads, like, they've every line of the field. Like, you look at.
Jersey frozenness again. We need to get this man a broadband upgrade for sure.
It's the only way you keep that man quiet.
Yeah. He's gone this for a moment. Hopefully we can get him back. But Joe, would you like to take up that question? I'll Podge us back here. Sorry, go on.
Back again, lads. Sorry.
I'll go again there. Yeah.
Like, Jez,
them strawberries must be paying enough this year, lads. Pay them broadband bills.
Not from what you're paying us anyway, Joe.
That's a fact.
But look, lads, Kilkenny want to be up again. Limerick are going to be half favourites going into it, like. But you look at last year's final. Did TJ Reid have a chance there? Maybe 10 minutes to go. Or the level, I think, and he came in the canal inside, and did he go for a shot and goal with he hooked or blocked or something? Limerick went down the field and got a pint and kicked on from there, like, so like Kilkenny were 10, 15 minutes away last year from causing a massive upset. Like I don't know, like Limerick they're phenomenal. Like if Declan Hannon is back, like that just strengthens up the wing back line again. Like you know, like if they win in All-Ireland now in a couple of weeks' time for 4 in a row, like they're going to be a very hard stop for a 5. Like you know.
Yeah, they're that good.
And like you even take yesterday. Like you know, you're talking about bits of luck on Yorks. Like Galway had a chance for the goal there in the first half. Mike Casey got his hurl to it, and it was just pure luck he had the hurl there. Like you know, like he didn't even know where the ball was. Like Limerick's second goal, the ball hit the crossbar, and I think it was Mannion. Like if he had it left, Dahi Burke had it. He hit it, ball falls back out to Gillan, and it's roofed net time. Like you know, you know, it's just bits of luck like that. Like you know.
You do need it, lads. You're 100% right. Like as much as you can talk about tactics and skills and game plans and everything, a flick or a deflection or a pull or you know, it's just everything's in the moment. But you're right, Podge. It's hard to see past Limerick. I think managing their bench, managing their personnel will be a big thing for Kilkenny. They'll really need that kick, you know, that real kick off their bench. I think you know, Limerick just finished like a train and. It's bringing in that energy off the bench. Like I think Kilkenny will need to really manage their subs and that, you know, to make sure that 5 subs coming in will bring that renewed energy, because Limerick will grind you down. Like you know what I mean. They're just relentless. Like but I think when I said it yesterday, I think I'd agree with what Joe Canning said with Galway yesterday. You can't. In some ways, you can't back off this Limerick team, because if you give them a foothold, you know, if you let them come from the back or build from the back, they're as dangerous, you know, from there as they are further forward. Like, you know, they'll hurt you from there. So you need to keep them pressed. Like, you know what I mean? You really need to keep the foot in their throat when you get it, like, and keep that tempo high. But physicality, like they have great physicality, but Kilkenny seem to have it as well at the minute. So. But I think I can't see past Limerick. I just think they're just relentless, and they look that they can do that 75 minutes better than any team now at the minute in terms of just lasting the game. So, but I think it'll be another colossal battle.
So you're not completely against short. You're not completely against short games, then, Joe.
I don't know what my point is.
Yeah.
No, well, sure. You seen about short game today, Kevin. You're like I said to you before about the short game. It's not that I'm a long ball specialist, but you look at Kilkenny today. Many balls did Clare lose in the middle today, you know, when they were, because they only have an option. If you play a sweeper or you sit back out, your only option is to play through the middle because you've nothing to hit it to. Whereas Kilkenny always kept forwards in, and sometimes they played through the middle. But then Richie Reid gets a ball, he goes straight over everything into their full forward. They have ball winners in there. You've Gillan in there. Say if it's Limerick, you've a Gillan. If you're Kilkenny, you have Cody, or you know, maybe Adrian Mullins floating in there, or TJ Reid. You have ball winners, like, you know. So I'm not against working the ball short, but if that's your only game, you could be in bother. You need to be able to mix it up a little bit.
Yep, fair enough. Podge, are you keeping an eye on this Carlow Club Senior Championship, or did you get there again?
I got to the Rangers Michael game there last week. That was the only game I got to know between matches and training and one thing and another. I couldn't get any games out this weekend. But I actually went to go up to Burn Rangers and Michael there this evening, and went up to Kilbride and didn't realise the game was changed to 11 o'clock this morning in the Fighting Cocks, so I didn't get to see that. So you know, that's the only game we got to see now, Michael and Rangers in the senior. But yeah, better.
You know who won this morning, actually, lads? Anyone here? There's nothing that.
Burn Rangers.
Which one?
Burn Rangers.
One well,
yeah. 223 to 11 or something, I think.
222, double scores or a bit more, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, they're motoring well. The last thing, actually, Podge, on the junior stuff before I say good luck to you for the evening there, is it's no longer a case, in my opinion, where you just turn up and play. I mean, that's okay if you're short numbers or whatever, but you have to be down a little bit, don't you? Like it's after changing drastically in the last 2 years, like, or maybe are we all just getting that bit older? I don't know, but it seems a bit different.
And like you look there. Just even take us for instance, like from the start of the year to like just training yesterday, like it's lads are after improving tenfold, you know. that's just training every week and, going out with the hurling ball against the wall for 10 minutes, just keeping the eye in it. If you lay down the hurl 1 week to the next, it's not like picking up a football where, like, you can kick a football, but with hurling the ball, like, you have to just be tipping away, like, every couple of days, like, like, you take Burn Rangers there, like Larkin Dylan with the county team, like, that's no fluke, like, like, the lad's an exceptional hurler, like, and again, that's just hard work, hard work and talent on his behalf,
Plain and simple. Last word.
Yeah.
Who's going to win the Senior Hurling Championship in Carlow?
St. Mullins.
Just like that. Good man.
Yeah, just like that. And
on.
Stevie, are you tagging out next Saturday evening, or?
Hopefully not. I'd be. That's not just because it's away in Kildavin now, but yeah, talking to the junior there, as Podge says, like, this year you're guaranteed 8 games in the junior, so like you can only get better. Whoever train, they can. You have 7 in the round robin part of it, and there's a Shield semi-final or a Championship semi-final. So, yeah, I don't plan to be playing next Saturday night, and being a selector or over, it'd be my fault if I end up playing. So, but even that when I played there 3 or 4 years ago, we were doing sharp hookouts and everything, like, so in a junior match. So that was random. That was a big change from the last game I played a junior back about 1988 or 89. So it definitely has changed. It's always a help, lads, if you have games week on week, and that's where the junior football always has advantage at the start of the year. Division 3, 4, 5, however division it is, your week on week games. The hurling hadn't that this year. Looks like it will have that. So that's one plus for the hurling end of the county anyway. So there'll be no handy freeze, no Podge next week. You'll be earning every one, and we can tell you that.
Well, I tell you, I marked you a couple of years ago when we were playing junior football again on Loughlin, and I tell you, I earned freeze that evening anyway. I was lucky I wasn't booked down to Wexford Hospital. That's the truth.
The caveman. Podge, thanks a million for coming out with us, and the best of luck. We'll chat to you again, all right?
Lads, no hassle. Cheers, lads.
Keep it. Good man.
Talk to you, Podge.
That's Podge Ryan. What a legend. Lads, Senior Hurling Championship stuff then. So I'm going to start with the biggest fixture on paper, I suppose, out of the 3. Not, I suppose, that it was the most important, because Ballinkillen and Naomh probably was the most important, but the glamour tie, if you want to put it that way, it was probably Ballinkillen Gales and Munster Rangers. And like, as we've obviously got reports up on the website, and thanks again, lads, for digging out with those. But like, it is literally like the first 5 minutes of that game. And even the first 10, even though the scores petered out a small bit, it was 1-2 to 4 after 10 minutes, I think it was. But some of the hurling in it was just top class. The speed in it, the slickness in it, the breeze cannot be understated in this game. And Ballinkillen had it. It was as down the field as it could be without being tanny corner either. It was just straight down, like. So you felt that maybe they had to be 4 or 5 points up at half time. Rangers got the first 3 scores in the first 3 minutes, and they were just humming, hit the ground running. Jake Doyle then, as he usually tends to do, went for the juggler, got it, and a point then shortly after, and it was kind of tit for tat sort of a thing, and then so Chris Nolan just turned into Chris Nolan. And just going back through the notes here now, obviously he got 2-8 in the game, he got 2-5 from play, which was, and I'm running out of words. I'm actually stuck for words to describe how good this lad is, because Darren Nolan was so tight on him and did absolutely everything he could. And unfortunately, like, it was just a case of this man is a different level. Like, I looked at Don Cody there today, to be honest with you, and I'd see a lot of similarities in the two of them. Some lads would call me mad for saying that. Wouldn't look out of place down there, in my opinion. But to carry on with anyway, Kieran Kavanagh going on the act. Jason Wall was back for the town, obviously, as we know. Very impressive. Finish at 1-2, I think, in the end. Darren Nolan with a big inspirational free in the 24th minute. Again, wind assisted, but had to be judged, making it 1-5 to 1-4 with Rangers still in the ascendancy. And then a minute later, it's like as if Chris saw Darren putting over the point, and he said, "Fuck, the next ball that comes in, I'm going for the juggler, I'm going to stick in this lad." And it was an unbelievable goal. It actually wasn't too dissimilar to what Shane O'Donnell did there today. And every time, I suppose, the mad thing was, when it featured into the second half, every time Ballinkillen got a goal, Rangers had a point literally from the next play within seconds. It was just like nothing was going to deter them. whatever you thrown at him was going to be it as such. Like so, coming down near the stretch in the end of the first half was where the game kind of turned. It was going to be a situation where Banditown were looking like they were probably going to go in 2 points down only, and then of course Chris bears down on goal again. And unfortunately, I don't have clips here, but he actually did what Johnny Nevin used to do years ago, coming out of defence. Whenever someone tackled him, he'd gain like 2 or 3 yards momentum, and drew a man, popped it in Dundee Murphy. He finished it. Styler came back with a free before half time, but at that stage, like 3-7 to 1-9, and Rangers with a gale force breeze, there was only going to be one winner, and that's how it kind of proved. First 10 minutes of the second half, Rangers just absolutely turned on the style. Like the one thing about them, whenever they get into the zone of tackling from 15 backwards, we'll say, right, they're literally untouchable, because Ted Joyce turned over the ball. It was actually quite close to the small parallelogram. That's how close it was. Ball broke loose. He ended up getting a shot away. Gange made an unbelievable save, and then Donald taps the ball into the back of the net. Fairness, Jason Wall got a tidy goal after that. Styler came back with a point, but for every score basically here, it looks like there's another 4 the Rangers have after it. Like, and Mark Mack was on hand to get another goal for Banditown. Just trying to think of who got the shot off initially, but he followed it up and tapped home. And again, Ted Joyce comes back and gets a point down the varsity. Ted Joyce actually at centre forward, he wasn't someone I mentioned much in the match report, but looked very sharp now. Looked on it as well. So look, in the end, they finished 4-22 to 3-13. You'd feel that when both sides are back to full strength, they'll have an absolute humdinger again. But like, one thing was, like, young Jamie Nolan, say for example, went off injured in the first 10 minutes, and Gary Lawler comes in. It's like, Jesus, like it was frightening. And Banditown were without Alfie. JP Tracy came in, still doesn't look right. Obviously, they're trying to get maybe a few minutes back into him. Jamie Clark didn't play, but from what I saw, and I haven't obviously seen St. Mullins yet, when Rangers click like that, fuck me, lads, they're frightening, you know. So that was my thoughts from that on Friday. Joe, you sat with me obviously Thursday evening for Ballinkillen and Naomh. Unfortunately, the elements were never going to lend itself to a game of, I'm not going to say substance, but genuine quality, because it was tricky. But I have to say, while I was quite impressed with Naomh early on with some of their play, it just did not, I suppose, as Larry Gogan said, just didn't suit them as the game went on. Ballinkillen got a foothold, Joe, and I suppose in the end, you know, that middle third that you spoke about, and you can take it up yourself, when they started hovering in with numbers there on puckouts, on loose ball, they made them pay, and 7 points in the end.
Yeah, it was the elements were a big thing. Sure, Kevin, we were in the commentary box on the far side there, and you know, we could hardly see out the window at one stage with the rain, so the elements had a big bearing in the game. I did think it'd be a close terms of low scoring affair, just with the nature of the game, you know, and apart from the elements as well. I suppose both teams wouldn't be the biggest, the highest scorers generally, so it was always going to be a low scoring game. But yeah, I thought, look, we weathered an early storm. A few, I suppose, maybe sloppy wides from Naomh at different times probably didn't help their cause when they needed a foothold. Whereas we tended to be quite accurate with our shooting generally throughout. I think you're right there what you spoke about. I think, and maybe more so in the second half, Naomh probably worked everything through the middle, whereas maybe with the elements and with the night that was in it, sometimes an odd ball popped over the top into that full forward line would have caused a little bit more hassle. We saw in the first half, like from a Naomh point of view, I think it was Scott Tracy got 2 points where a quick ball went into that inside line. He stole a couple of yards, turned and struck it over. And in the second half, then they kind of were very persistent about working the ball through the middle. And I think in fairness to Pat English and the mentors, they had them well figured out. And in terms of getting the personnel in there, I thought Ballinkillen were very good in the breaks. I thought our shape was quite good as well. You know, our half back line kind of sat back. You know, I know they'd wander an odd time for a shot. You know, the wing backs, maybe Mark and Eric would or Mark and Eric and the crew, the wings would push forward and, you know, and support the play. But generally they sat back and were kind of very, very deep. I think they probably learned from the St. Mullins game, you know, where we kind of got dragged out a little bit, and then when we got turned, weren't able to make the gain line back. But I think interestingly as well, look, we talked about players and personnel, and they have a massive impact. And I suppose we started with, probably 4 changes in the forward line. And I suppose having the solidity as well of having 5 of our 6 of last year's championship backs back in the back line and back in their places where they hurled so well as a unit last year was massive for us. You know what I mean? I think that solidity gives us a great thing. Our half forward line as well with Sean Murphy, I came in with 3 points on the night. One, I think 3 or 4 scoreable frees as well. So he had a massive impact. And I thought maybe Naomh were a little bit slow. Some of our long puck out was aimed on top of Sean and in front of us in the commentary box, actually, Kevin. We saw at times there was big space in front of him for Tomas to hit as well. So I thought Meister didn't cotton onto that maybe enough that they took out that supply. So yeah, Rory Dunbar picked over a point. We talked about that was probably one of the scores of the match. If you can remember the strike into the breeze in the first half. Just, oh my God, super score. So we'd go a nice little spread of scores. Probably very reliant, I suppose, on Eric on the night, given the conditions. I think he got 9 or 10 points, but the other scores were separated out between a couple of players. I think from a Ballinkillen point of view, a win is a win is a win. That's all it is. Better performance, more players back, more game time into lads. Maybe more of a championship look about our team in terms of maybe where we might be heading towards. And I think they're the things that Pat English and the crew will be emphasising to the lads, to take nothing more than that out of it, which is plenty to take. From an Naomh point of view, look, there is progress being made. They just have to be patient. You know what I mean? I think they're tweaking things. There are a lot of good ball players. They seem to have a system now. They seem to have lads in positions. They need to maybe mix it up a little bit. They're hurling, like I said, in that middle third mightn't have been sharp enough on the night, and they did cost them a few scores. But look, you have to stick with it. You have to stick with the youth as well. It was great to see the youth there as well, that they had, a lot of younger personnel on display. So I keep saying, all these teams are building, so be patient with them,
Absolutely. I agree with you that on that front, like in terms of being able to adapt kind of mid-game. And the other night, that game is very hard to play on a wet night. It's hard enough to play on a dry day. I'd like to see it on a dry day because I think they actually have lads that are good enough to play it. And for the most part, like I can see where they can get joy. I remember one particular move, Joe, was it in the first half, whereby, yes, the first 3 passes, there might have been 40 yards gained. But I do believe it ended up in a scoring chance down the far side. Possibly could have ended up a goal, actually. A goal chance, I should say. And so you can see where that could work, but you can also see where at times when there's lads inside that it's just learning to know when to hold them.
Exactly. When to stick or twist. And I suppose it'd be remiss as well to say, like, they did have a great goal chance. It was Gavin Rashitsko got on a ball, and again, talking about Owen Murphy's saves there today. Tomas Dowling has pulled off 3 unbelievable saves. Like, that was a massive moment for us. If that goal goes in for Michael, a bit more pep in your step, but he came out and he blocked down with his body. He's so quick off the line. He saw the ball coming across to Rosicko and made 14, 15, 16 yards in a flash. You know what I mean? So, some goalies might say if that was Junior, he'd be standing on your line waiting to pick it out. But like he that's the difference. He made the move towards the player, and he actually made, like I said with John Michael Nolan with a shot later on when Dion Wall came in, he actually made up the player's mind, because when you see someone coming at you like that, your first tendency is to actually, to pull and get and move the ball rather than move yourself. And he smothered it. So it could have been a different story. But I think it just, I think it just builds us from a Ballinkillen point of view. It builds us going in the right place. And I think that's, like I said, Pat English and his crew are just thinking of getting to a semi-final, and that's maybe where it kicks off, or that's where you need to have it. You need to have it really right for,
Yep. Playing to the structure that's there. Interestingly enough, I was under the impression that maybe Mullins Rangers were kind of adopting a traditional St. Mullins attitude and just knowing that they're going to get to the 4 and then hope to peak. Well, I tell you, if they have a bit more peaking after the other day, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think we're going to bring in for Naomh Brid and St. Mullins, because I'm just conscious we're 45 minutes in recording and we need to get a few previews done. So What did you think of that one?
Yeah, we're playing up in Fenna, and we were playing against them in the first half, diagonal win, but facing into the near goal, obviously. So we brought Mikey out a bit further. And sure, two things happened in the first minute. I think it was Paddy Ball and caught a ball, and that's bad enough. Then he let it off the mouse and said it, the Owen Cody, TJ Reid incident earlier today. There's only one outcome, and that was a goal. And Paddy Ball scored a point before that, so we got the next 2 points. Then they got maybe 4 or 5 in a row. Mixture of lads: Eddie Doyle, John Doyle, Seamus Murphy. John Doyle and Seamus Murphy is wing forward, so they were threats for hookouts when they were going long. Kevin went short for a good few because they had a spare man at the back, I suppose. Then we're going to the game a bit. Then Mikey got a couple of points. Aaron got a great free because happened. I'm happy with the intensity our lads got into the game. As St. Mullins are, they have county players in every line and that. So we come up to half time. It was back to 10-7. We obviously had the wind in the second half. Whoever was in it was going across the field. But most had no score free the first half, and it was just that's the way the game was going. It wasn't that any other thing. But he got 9. I think he got 9 points second half. He got 6 frees, 2 65s, and a 1 from play. And they pulled away, but the boys kept going. I'll be honest. We left a few scores behind us the first half. Semons did as well. I'll be honest. But a lot of our boys there, like Shane, Tyke, these lads, Ross Dermody, they're only 17, 18, 19 years of age. They're playing up against the likes of Mouse, Jack Kavanagh, Paddy Keogh, these lads, experience seeping out through them. And to see that once you do something with the ball, don't dwell whether it's been good or bad, because the next ball is going to have to be worked on again. It's just, you have to, it's 100 mile an hour. Not saying someone's going 100 mile an hour, but it's just the intensity levels at senior level, tackling, everything has to be bang on. You have to be, you do something good, grand, but don't be dwelling on it, because the next thing it'll be a couple of mistakes we made went across the goal with a couple of balls the first half, around the halfway line. They're punished over the bar. You just go with it. But no, look, we ended up 122 to 12 points, I think. Ballinkillen and Michael next 2 games. Them games are going to decide someone's fate in the semi-final. And someone's having got James Doyle, I think he was in holidays. We were down 3 from the last night, and Colin Brennan got injured after 5 minutes. So we're down to the bones of the team. But in fairness, the boys stayed going, and we got some positives out of it. So it'll be Ballinkillen next Sunday night, and they're letting us into Dr. Cullen for that one, I see, anyway. So we might even get linesmen for that one.
Don't bank on that, Stevie. Don't bank on that. No linesman there last week for the Ballinkillen and Naomh game. Me and Kevin did in fairness to Pod where he called it all, as I say. But so don't be banking on the linesman. It is a double header though, in fairness. So hopefully we'll be full set there.
Yeah, there was no one there Thursday, but there was 2 there Friday. Interestingly enough. So John Hickey was reffing it Friday. Actually, that's something I didn't mention. He absolutely lended to how good the game was. He was, I believe, since that 2021 final, when I always skip myself, fuck the whistling over the ditch, when Rangers played St. Mullins, that since then any game he's been reffing has been absolutely let go. Unless it's an obvious free, it's not going to be blown. And that, I thought, was a feature the other day, which made the game particularly enjoyable. But David Hickey was doing umpire for John the other day, actually, and I think David might have a chat with us over the next couple of weeks about that particular issue. So that might be something just keeping an eye and near out for. So you mentioned the fixtures next week, lads, which I'll jump on to. I think there's a game there tomorrow night as well, isn't there, in the junior, lads? Ballinkillen are playing Cartertown, Joe, at 7:30. Yeah. In Cartertown. So
more late than Stevie.
Sorry, lads, got distracted there. Sorry.
Friday night, a humdinger. Rangers and St. Mullins at 8:00 in Watchmullen Park. So we'll start there. No better place to start. Jesus, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on it, right? I'm looking forward to the game, but it's not really going to matter a whole lot. Am I wrong in saying that?
Sure. I suppose you're right and you're wrong. They're probably going to be first and second or first, second and third, and but neither will like the other beating them in a championship game. Won the game last year. So Mullins wouldn't be a goal last year. I think it was 115-15, or the range of 115-15. I forget now. It was one or the other, and I can't have flicking at it and all. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the Donna Murphy's second year now. Chris Nolan going to town last week. You know, I'll be up against Paul Doyle and John Bourne. These lads. Interesting to see. I don't know if James Doyle is back for it. John Cody didn't feature the other night. Now he's played neither match. I don't think, has he? Yeah. So he was tugged out the other night, all right. But yeah, like could be a bit of shadow boxing in it, I suppose. But you know, it'll be like Bagnallstown game against Michael is probably after taking a bit of with Bagnallstown losing the other night and Michael losing. That game is after probably taking a bit more relevance to the outcome of the semi-final spots.
You touched on a very important point there, Stevie. So while the glamour tie is Rangers and St. Mullins, you nearly argue that potentially, definitely Bagnallstown, Michael and yourselves and Ballinkillen have huge importance in those, like, because if Bagnallstown fall into a trap of taking Michael for granted, which I'm sure they won't, but if they were to for 1 second, no better team than Michael, who I wouldn't think have too much time for Bagnallstown at the back of it, to capitalise on that. So that is the first of the double header, I think, Sunday. That's at 6, I think.
6, yeah.
That's unfortunately I won't get to the games now on Sunday. We've a more pressing matter to attend to. So I think we might start with that. We've given Rangers and St. Mullins near enough of what it kind of deserves, because we know inevitably they might meet again at some stage. There's a good chance that they'll both probably be in the semi-final. But could you see a way back from Michael here now, Joe? Like, because there's a narrative going around that people wouldn't be saying this, that, and the other about Rangers not moving well if they had taken some of the 20 Ys that they hit. And there's also a narrative that Naomh have improved. Yes, okay, a bit of a setback last week. Bagnallstown, we know so far that they've gone and defeated Naomh Brid, which, sorry to say, Stevie, but you probably would expect them to do it, considering where they were last year. And then the other day, obviously, there'll be that disappointment, but still know that all isn't lost, because at the end of the day, Rangers gave them a tanking last year, and then they overturned it in the semi-final. But I think there's real intrigue around this one all of a sudden, Joe. Do you give Michael a chance here?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but I mean, kind of all the pints are mixed there. But in terms of like the idea of people writing off Rangers the other night because of 20 wides, I mean, you're only writing them off in one game. You're not saying they're kind of a championship run, or you know, as in you make calls like that, giving them what you see on any given night. That's the joys of it, like, you know. But in terms of this, yeah, I do give. I just probably their firepower. That's probably where it's going to come down to. You know, they need it to be a close game. I think Bagnallstown have the firepower up front, no matter. Right, obviously, say the other night, they conceded 4-22. I can't see Michael putting up a score like that, but I can see Bagnallstown consistently putting up a high score, over 20 points a game. And I think on Sunday, no matter how good a game that Naomh gives them, I can't see them holding Bagnallstown to underneath that, and I can't see them on the flip side hitting enough scores, you know, to make that 20-point barrier. So I can see him certainly giving them a good game. I can't see them turning them over. No, I can't see them turning over. I just don't think they have that. You know, they don't really have that kind of 1-5, 1-6 man up front, like, you know, maybe on the flip side that Jason Wall or Jake Doyle, or even Craig Doyle and whatever else can give Bagnallstown, or Paddy McDonald that Bagnallstown have. I just cannot see that in Michael at the minute. I can see an improvement in their play. I can see them worrying. I can see their backs been quite disciplined and so on. But I just think maybe that their front six just isn't going to be able to punish enough on the night. So I'd probably give the nod to Bagnallstown in this one. Yeah, and I think Bagnallstown will be stung by the defeat and the manner of the defeat to Rangers. Like, while they were down a few players, which is fine, and top class players at that, I still probably thought that they would be seeing that defeat. That would have stung them, you know what I mean? The nature and the margin of the defeat. So I think they'll bounce back in this one, and I give Bagenstown a nod here by maybe 5 or 6 points.
Yep. Steve, I'll come across to you for the 2 games in a second, but Joe, I'll get a word on Ballinkillen and Naomh Brid from you before I get the 2 verdicts from Stevie then.
Yeah, look, going to be a cracker. I think I don't know Stevie's personnel, as I say. I know probably our own. Like, we're probably getting back more to our full hand where we'd like to have it in terms of injuries and stuff like that, and lads been available to us. I'm not sure where Naomh Brid are with lads. Steve mentioned a few lads away and so on, and I didn't get to see him the first 2 rounds with the clashes with the other games. But I suppose I probably feel like I think we're going to get a massive game off them. I think last year they were quite cautious playing us. I think we the man sent off in that game. Rory Dunbar got sent off, and I thought Naomh Brid maybe might have they held us, but we kind of had more of a cut off them than they had off us, strangely enough, in terms of when we were down to 14. We were very more economic with the ball, and maybe Naomh Brid could have pushed, but it's kind of what ifs and what if you don't. But I think with the firepower they have up front, with Mikey and Aaron Hammond and that going well, and John Murphy, massive power as well there, that they'll worry our 6 backs. I just think that little maybe slickness that we have, and maybe the addition there of Sean Murphy into our half-forward line is a massive plus for us. And again, with the solidity of our 5 or 6 championship backs being kind of back in place, I just think we'll probably have a little bit too much for them. But I can't see it being a high-scoring game. I probably can see us getting out maybe by 4 or 5 points, but it'll be a humdinger of a game. But and that's not trying not to be biased, and I just probably think that we might be that little step ahead, just that, but it'll be a cracking game, I think.
Yep, Steve-O, I'll get you on the 2 of them here.
Yeah, Munster and Sam Mullins. I'll go for Munster Rangers just about. Ted Joyce, as you said there, that was Thompson man there today. They said Ted Joyce have been very good so far in both games and kind of gone under the radar. And Kevin, you said it actually yourself that you might have mentioned him in the match report. A big threat going forward there, 11. And right, I'll give Munster Rangers a slight nod in that one. The Michael Nevon Bagenstown game, there's something else to give here because Bagenstown scored 6 goals in 2 games and Michael conceded none in 2 games. So there's something going to have to happen there. Nevon will need to keep it as low scoring game. I'd say, can they get goals? They need to get goals. Did they get 1 goal against Munster? They got none the other night. If goal chances are coming, they need to start taking them. Whether they have someone to do that or not at the moment. Scott Tracy or someone maybe might oblige, but on form at the minute, give Bagenstown by 2 or 3 points. But it might need to get a couple of goals, and probably Bagenstown have to be stopped from getting goals as well. They've hit 3 in both games, so I go with Munster Rangers and Bagenstown to get over the line.
And hopeful for your own prospects.
Yeah, they've almost the lap of the gods.
Yeah, just on the Rangers and St. Mullins one, it's so hard to call. I'm going to sit in the fence in this one. I'm going to go on a draw. I heard Hickey was dogging me the other night in the commentary. I got five out of 6 of them right, and the margins of the victory not too bad either. So you have to get them wrong every time. I did pick out, in fairness to me, I said Donald Murphy and was electric the other night when he got on the ball against Michael. Even though Chris was quiet, he's had a great year. You mentioned about Owen Cody. He has that strength now in the air, makes him nearly unmarkable. And Ted Joyce, I did mention in my previews as well, the year off from the county, Ted has seemed to always been carrying knocks and injuries. And I think maybe the year away from the county panel has actually benefited Ted in every aspect of his game. He's a top-class player, and his out at centre forward probably suits him. He's a playmaker. He's a crafty little hurler as well. So, look, I'm going to call it a draw. It'll be an interesting one to see what sort of tempo. I think will both teams maybe try out little things that maybe they might try again later in the championship. But I'll go with a draw on that one. High scoring draw. I think both teams are capable of putting up big scores in that game.
Good stuff, lads. Just want to recap on some intermediate results as well. St. Mullins 315, Naomh 14 points in the intermediate, and a hat-trick for James Kelly spearheaded Munster Rangers to a 417 to 117 win over Carlow Town. Fixtures wise, next weekend on Saturday at 7 o'clock, Bagenstown Gales Intermediates are home to St. Mullins, and at the same time, Michael are at home to Carlow Town. So I think that's pretty much it. Joe, you just want to have a word on the cool camps? They're back there, are they? In the takeaway?
Yeah, no, just look, we're on about the Joe McDonough win there the other night, and I was just thinking back about my only one is going to one tomorrow, and that's where it all starts. You know what I mean? All the work that's going on in Carlow, hurling football, camogie ladies football, whatever it is, it starts there. They're 6 years of age. They're a massive initiative, great initiative. They're sold out all over the county. It shows that, you know, the work that our county board are really promoting. And obviously I think Sean Gannon is involved with it in Crow Park. I think he's the head of the whole lot now, or part of his remit is that as well. And like I said, it's just the links all the way through. Mouse and Chris and Paul Dial and Jack Tracy and all these lads, they started there. And not, you know, it's just when they're in full flow at the minute, just a big thank you to our GDAs and our coaches in the camps as well. For all the work and the enthusiasm, you know what I mean? You just can't beat that enthusiasm they breed into the kids, and it's lovely to see them going around in their cool camp gear and, you know, their Carlow gear lately. It just builds the whole GA in the county and builds that old buzz. So just a word on that was all. Yep.
And just speaking on enthusiasm, one of the most enthusiastic GDAs of all time is gone off travelling. Damien Jordan, I think wish him the best of luck because he's infectious. Like any work he does with any club or county, you'd have to be, you know, he's just a great character, and wish him well in his travels.
Yeah, knows the name of every one of them. Fair play to him. Yeah.
Good man, Naomh. Thanks for everything, lad, and safe travels. And Joe, Stevie, thanks as always. Take care.
Good night, lads.
The Left Wing Backs coverage of the Carlow Hurling Championships for 2023 is brought to you in association with Talbot Fitness, Brendan Kavanagh Furniture, Corcoran Precast Tanks, Milano's Takeaway Bidnestown, Connolly's Topline Hardware, PFT Travel, Ray Whelan Limited, Earth Spas, and